Okay, so let's talk about what literary analysis is and what its purpose, why we even do this. Okay, so let me answer the first part. What is literary analysis? Well, as the name suggests, literary analysis is when you are analyzing literature. So, what is literature? Well, typically we're going to define it as something like, oh, it could be a story, a poem, or a play. But honestly, if we open our minds a little bit, good writing can also appear in the script for a movie or a TV show or a really good podcast series or a letter or an important document from history. They all kind of still meet the criteria for what literature is. So literary analysis can be more than just writing about a short story, a poem, or a play. It could be analyzing a movie or a podcast or a letter. Things that are written really well, that kind of elevate writing, is probably going to meet our criteria for literature. So then that takes us to the question, well, what's the purpose of analyzing it? Well, one of the interesting things about English studies that separates it from many other subjects is that it's ultimately subjective in many respects. Like, there's not just clear-cut answers for everything. And that may not have what it felt like in school to this point, because the way a lot of, especially, the elementary through high school, a lot of the ways that they assess what you do, especially in English, is that you're going to read something, you're going to answer some questions, maybe you write a paper, and there's like a correct way to do it. But the reality is, there's more than one way to interpret just about any story, especially something that is creative writing, like most literature. And so with that, there's not always a correct answer for like what something means. You just need to be able to explain and justify whatever interpretation you've taken. And because things can be interpreted more than one way, then maybe there's some value in hearing what someone else thinks as they talk about a story that they read. Maybe they got something out of it that you didn't. Maybe they watched a movie or a TV show and they got something out of it that you hadn't picked up on, but by hearing them express their perspective, their analysis, it improved your experience. And that's kind of the inherent value of literary analysis. Yes, it's a product that can show that you, as a well-educated person, can read something and write about it intelligently. That's great. But perhaps an even greater value is that your perspective can enrich the experience for someone else. And I think that's a lot better. That's a better answer, right? One thing I like to do, talking about me, I like to watch YouTube videos where people are talking about a movie or a TV show that I really like. And I like the super nerdy stuff that's based on comics or a movie series or whatever. So, I like Star Wars, I like Marvel comics, I like DC, I like all these things. And then I love watching videos of people break down the movie. Well, that's literary analysis. That's really what it is. If the movie or the TV show is literature and someone's making a YouTube video about it, that's literary analysis. That's what the modern version is. It could be something, really produced, like a highly edited YouTube video. It could be something a little more off the cuff, like a post on Twitter or Threads or whatever social media you're using. Somebody could just post a review. I have a friend that he posts like 2-sentence reviews of movies. He'll say like such and such movie, 3 out of 5, this is what I thought. And then he just moves on. That's not super in-depth analysis, but it's kind of the beginning of what literary analysis is. It is critique, it is criticism, but it might delve deeper. It might go further to analyze the strategies that the storyteller used to tell that story. So if we're talking about a narrative, a story, then there's going to be some common literary devices that we use to talk about it. There might be story or the plot, the setting, the character, the theme. All those things are really important and they can add to the experience. But there's other literary devices like metaphor and symbolism and the use of color and all these other things that when you're not just reading something, but maybe you're watching a play, a movie, a TV show, they can add extra layers to the storytelling through the design, what the shot is doing, what the actors are doing, the movement of the camera. They're all literary devices as well because they're all being used to tell the story. I'm going to preview something for you. Not that, whatever. I make movies, and right now I'm rewriting a script that I hopefully plan to shoot in about a year. And there's a really important sequence, and to build and to maintain the tension of the scene, it's going to be one really long cut. And so we're going to have someone with a stabilized camera system running around for probably like 5-10 minutes, chasing these characters in and out of this cabin, around the woods, all over the course of this one particular scene, because keeping it in one singular shot is going to make it much more intense in this really important moment of the story. Well, that's a storytelling technique. That's a literary device, just like symbolism or metaphor or simile. And so someone who watches the movie and they pick up on that and they thought, well, that really helped tell the story, and then they express that is literary analysis. Or if you're like, yeah, no, I don't really like that you did that, it looked dumb, that's also analysis. But with any sort of critique that we make, we also have to back it up and explain it. We don't just give our opinions in our writing, we have to explain them and preferably bring in outside sources. And so that's some of what you're going to be doing in your literary analysis essays during this unit. You'll be picking a story, looking at it, analyzing it. It could be a short story or whatever. You're going to be looking at the different strategies that the storyteller used to tell it, and then writing about it and bringing in outside sources to help add context and support to your argument in the form of an essay. So that's just a heads up. I hope that helps you to kind of understand what the purpose and benefit of literary analysis is as you move forward to start writing your own during this unit.